Hey everyone, this is Jin Song. Today I'll be discussing my day trip to Cedar Lakes Woods and Gardens in Levy County. This is something of a hidden gem. A lot of the people local to the area don't even know about this. I mentioned it to my parents and they were completely surprised, especially when I showed them a few pictures. I've actually known about this for some time. I like to look up these kinds of places and I pitched it to some of my outdoors friends. Unfortunately, most of them are college students, and they might be a little bit on the cheap end for that matter, so I wasn't able to have any luck. But when I was visiting Gainesville this past weekend, a friend of mine was looking for some ideas for photo shoots, and she pitched the idea of Cedar Lakes Woods and Gardens. I was on board, so before you know it, we ended up at this botanical garden. So this is a fine example of repurposing something that was essentially trash and turning it into treasure. Cedar Lakes Woods and Gardens was essentially an abandoned mining field. It was used for the construction of a highway, and when it was purchased initially, all that was really left was just a heavily polluted swamp. But the owner had his own vision and inspiration. Dr. Raymond Weber completely turned the place around, largely for personal and family use as a giant fishing pond. Ray made numerous upgrades, including adding islands, waterfalls, bridges, pavilions, arches, gardens, largely inspired by Japanese culture. I would have loved to meet the architect and crew for that matter, just to learn about where they gathered their inspiration. You never would have guessed that something like this would be within a small area like Levy County. In fact, walking around, I was joking with my friend, talking about how it felt more like we were in Japan, or Asia for that matter. So much so that the deviant in me was very tempted to add my profile status being in Japan, simply to see how many people would be able to identify the location. I thought it would have been pretty believable considering how I'm on vacation right now and all my friends know I'm a little bit far out. Ultimately, I opted not to incur the further wrath of the Facebook trolls. We all know that the recent election just passed, and we don't want to upset anyone that has a bruised ego. But in all seriousness, I love the concept of this botanical garden. Just the concept of restoring a habitat and giving it a higher purpose instead of just being an area that is contaminated. And also from a business perspective, I have no idea how much money this place makes or whether it is even profitable. But the fact that this person turned their backyard and their private property into something commercial, in my eyes, is just genius. You can tell that the owner really enjoyed this project and spent a lot of time coming up with these ideas. Just the fact that he had all of this in his backyard this entire time, and now you're able to see the view that he woke up to every morning. And just to expand upon that thought, that's exactly what it sounds like. You have access to his patio because his house is still located at the property. I suppose it would be fair to say that this is the equivalent of bringing your work home with you. I'm just as sociable as anybody else, but I don't know if I would really be into that idea or not. Having tourists around all day taking pictures, I'd feel somewhat like an animal in a cage, or a zoo for that matter. It's kind of like a paparazzi. You'd have no personal privacy. Maybe it'd be a little bit different if you really enjoyed your work, I suppose, and it was more of a hobby for you than anything else. Something really cool that happened during this trip was actually while we were leaving. On the way in, there was tons of hills and bodies of water. In fact, there was a very interesting area just outside of the park, and we had opted to take a closer look as we were leaving. So much so that we actually found this to be more unique than the park itself. It was a place called Eagle Point Overpass. And when I say off the grid, I mean completely off the grid. This looks more like you're up north, or somewhere that has mountains with bodies of lakes and elevation. I just wish that we had more time there to explore. It I was unable to find it anywhere. Like, I tried to put it in the map, location. I'd highly recommend if you're in the area to go look for this, because it was very pretty. So I hope you all enjoyed my day trip to Cedar Lakes Woods and Gardens, Eagle Point Overpass. I highly recommend it if you're in the area and you want to discover something new. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more. If you have any recommendations, leave them in the comments. But until the next time, peace.